Afternoon, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another stream. Today we are going to be playing Magic, and we're going to be playing with a bug fit deck. This one's a little bit unusual. So normally with Nick Fit, the idea is to just go like very, very big and play things that cost between like 4 and 99 mana and accelerate them out via Veteran Explorer. This is a much smaller version of Nick Fit in that your curve stops at 4 with Karn the Great Creator. And I've got to say, the deck kind of confuses me. This is a donation from Delta Tango, and it's an odd assortment of things. You have this Veteran Explorer Cabal Therapy package for value. You have Spellstarter Sprites as just a counterspell for a small spell. You have Okos to synergize with your Astrolabes. I don't exactly know. The curve goes up to 10, Karn into Lattice. You got me. You got me. I don't exactly know how this deck is going to play out. Like, you have an odd combination of, like, control elements and ramp elements. And, like, this is a deck that I'm just going to have to see in action to see how it actually plays out. Like, you have Mystic Sanctuaries that you can fetch out to put, I guess, counterspells back on top of your library. And like Spellstarter Sprites can be sacked to the Cabal Therapy as well, so you like counter something, attack for 1, then take a card out of their hand. It's a very weird amalgamation of cards. Since we are a Karn the Great Creator deck, we do have 6 artifacts in the sideboard as our wish board. Other than that, we don't really get the ability to adjust much since we're a Karn deck. Like, the artifacts stay where they are, the ley lines like either come in or they don't. And we have very few fair cards. I don't know how this is going to play out. I see a lot of games just being like turn 1 Astrolabe, turn 2 Interact, turn 3 Oko, win game. And then I also see a decent number of games being like, I have assembled an early Karn with Force backup, and that wins. So let's just kind of like see this in action and see how it goes. The goal today, and really for the next week and a half to 2 weeks, is emptying my current donation queue. I'm no longer going to be taking donations for Legacy. I'm going to work on emptying the queue, and then I'm going to reevaluate like where I'm at in terms of like content creation. Because I don't think Legacy is healthy. The most common thing I'm saying after a stream these days is that the decisions that I make didn't matter. And after saying that again and again and again and again, I'm coming to realize that like Legacy as it stands, or at least as I'm currently doing it on this channel, isn't like super for me. So I have to figure out what I'm doing with my life. But we'll figure that out. Hey, the Hackbert, welcome. Hopefully we have a better league than yesterday. Yesterday I played against like 5 combo decks in a row in an hour and 20 minutes. And it was just brutal. Hopefully between like discard and counter magic, I actually get some amount of interactive games. I have Bayou Trop C. And Cabal. They were last seen on Sneak and Show. I can Cabal Therapy on turn 1. Yes. Yeah, Stripe. My current thought is to just name Show and Tell on turn one. Remember how I talked about how I'm really frustrated with current Legacy because my decisions don't matter? Here we successfully called what deck my opponent was on, stripped them of a combo piece, and they're still going to effectively kill me on turn 3. Rep, I'm really sorry to hear that, man. That's incredibly rough. That's not the sort of thing that you bounce back from quickly. I think I'm going to ponder, look for a counter spell. Leovold is really good, actually. Rockonatus, I don't know what I'm doing. Um, once my donation queue is empty. I'm really frustrated with current Legacy. With the decks that I've been playing on stream, and that's a lot of different decks. You know, 4 to 5 different decks a week for, the past X number of years. And I feel like almost everything that I'm playing on this channel that people are donating to see just can't compete right now. Like, my average record in a league right now is probably 2-3. I don't expect any spell that I cast this turn to resolve. But we're going to play the one that has the highest upside. Leovold shutting off future cantrips is fine, but if they just have an Emrakul, I'm dead. Yeah, like, I took a week off from Magic to just, make sure it wasn't tilt and, try to reset myself. And when I came back to playing Magic, I played 2 leagues in a row where I finished in approximately an hour and my decisions didn't matter. And I, interacted with my opponents and died anyway. I think Karn for bridge is better than just playing the bridge in the main deck. These abrupt decays are not great. We can like beat a Blood Moon pretty normally. I am trimming these. Right, but do I want my Karns to be reasonable Magic cards that can get Ensnaring Bridge that my opponent has to then play around? Or do I want to just like be able to cantrip into Ensnaring Bridge with it in my main deck and have it be a surprise? Like I think 3 copies of Bridge is significantly better. If I had something like a Sorcerer's Spyglass, I would board that in though. The reserve list is like so incredibly far from the top of my mind when it comes to like current legacy problems. I probably want to save the Ponder to pitch the Force if that's something that I need to do. I think I'll save the Cabal Therapy for a turn and just take an Astrolabe redraw here. Yeah, nice. So now next turn I can Therapy Brainstorm, and then Veteran Explorer, Therapy, whatever else is in their hand. Thinking about what I want to fetch here. I think since I have a Veteran Explorer, I just fetch a non-basic here, even though I do have 2 Astrolabes. Like, because I have 2 Astrolabes, I'm not worried about a Moon. I think some fighting games have done community stuff pretty well. Force of Will, pitch a Show and Tell. So you have a second Show and Tell? That's how I read that? Uh, well, you see, we used to have these companion decks that, while deck building decisions were warped as hell, the gameplay was incredibly intricate and interesting. And then that disappeared. So I hard disagree with that. Okay, we have left our opponent with an Abrade. That's cool. Why is gameplay crappy? Well, because you either get played against Oko and it invalidates all of your permanents, or you play against combo decks where your decisions aren't particularly meaningful in a lot of cases. Yeah. Diversity doesn't equal health in my mind. Like, there was a really long Reddit post about how the format was healthy because of like X number of cards, or sorry, X number of different decks existing in the format. And I just look at that and go like, yeah, but the gameplay has been horrendous. I'm gonna get a bridge this turn, a lattice next turn. My opponent has multiple red sources, so I can't just liquid metal coating them off of all their cool stuff. Um, the bridge makes a show and tell less good. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven available mana. I wonder if I just like wait on the lattice until I can force of like play it with force of will back up. Like that just requires hitting any blue card. This is essentially my bait card for that Abrade. Yeah, Strife out, but I'm playing more like D&T style decks, and like when I recorded daily D&T yesterday, I played 5 rounds in an hour and 20 minutes, and I had very few meaningful decisions. My deck really didn't get to do its thing in any round. Most games were effectively decided by turn 3. And then like I'm playing donation deck lists like this all the time, and so many of the like decks that are tier 2 or beyond are just not viable. Marius, if you remind me in between rounds, I'll pull it up, but it's not quite that. Oh, this becomes colorless? Can't force pitch force, can I? I guess that was dumb. Hmm. Unfortunate. Not played Karn alongside Force of Will very many times. Okay, I can Tormod's crit myself and deal with it that way. I can also just like attack for 3 every turn with Bridge. This is fine. Yeah, boring is a good word to describe current Legacy IMO. Goblins is fine, but you can't get the Goblins cards that you actually need to play Goblins. So there's that. Do I have 10 mana? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't have 10 mana. I probably don't want this other Karn yet. I can slowly get to the point where I just, like, go for Lattice Lock. Oh yeah, I totally agree. No deck deserves to be good in Legacy. I'm 100% with you there. But it feels like fair non-blue decks are essentially dead. And that's most of what I play on this channel. So that's been rather frustrating to me. Like, I can't remember the last time I got a 4-1 with Death and Taxes or anything remotely Death and Taxes-esque. I think I'd like to just put a Ponder back on top of my deck here. Finding something that clocks a little bit better, or like denies my opponent stuff, like a Leovold is really good. Nah. Sprite is fine. Reaple cheap. It's my current plan to empty the donation queue and go from there. Oh yeah, I have no doubt that Eli will lend me stuff if I need it. But like, I have no desire to play Magic with my own time. I probably force that. Oh no, most of the 2019 cards are incredibly good against DNT. Arcanist, Plague Engineer, Oko. And any card that when it resolves and effectively wins the game after one turn cycle um, is brutal against DNT. Like Arcanist and Oko sticking pretty much means that you immediately lose on the spot. And like going back a little bit further, like Karn is also very good. I think I now brainstorm, look for a counterspell, Karn minus, junk this stuff, and then just get my lattice win over 2 turns. Yeah, 2 sprites are fine here. Yeah, Uro is not a problem for D&T. Like the card's annoying, but like Swords to Plowshares answers it. Arrakis kind of answers it. Like you can mom and invalidate the damage side of the equation. Like you have tools to fight back against that. All right, we'll do this the slow way. I maybe wasn't supposed to play that, so I can attack with Bridge instead. Assassin's Trophy better than Ponder? Assassin's Trophy is the catch-all. Yeah, I think I'm okay taking both of these. I don't think you get to be cute in current Legacy. I just have my opponent dead if I get to attack with Bridge on my turn, so I'm not going to counter that. Jinra, the plan is to empty my current donation queue and then reevaluate from there. But yeah, I'm pretty done with Legacy as it stands now. And that's the only format of Magic that I like. So I don't know where that puts me. I will still be streaming. I will still be producing content, like unquestionably. But like whether or not it'll be Magic content, whether or not it'll be Legacy content, that I don't know. I mean, fine and Andy, the issue is that I have been playing decks that have been 5-0ing. Like, that's how people find most of the deck lists that they want me to play. So, like, overwhelmingly, the things that I'm playing have 5-0'd at least once. And, like, every week for daily D&T, I'm pulling a list from either a format challenge top 8 or a legacy 5-0 dump. So that's troublesome. No, I think fundamentally D&T is dead. I wrote a long article about it in March, and things have only gotten worse from there. I think with 2 sets of redraws and 1 piece of disruption, this hand is keepable. No, you're making your bad deck have 80 cards so there are more worse cards in it is not a very viable strategy. I find like the 4 and 5 color control decks very boring, personally. Um, all right, opponent had the turn 2 when we kept a hand with slower interaction. Maybe they put in Omniscience and I get to get them. Need to take their Force of Will here, I guess. I need to draw Veteran Explorer, then play Karn, then play Bridge, have all of that resolve. That's not happening. Like, opponent already has Intuition for the remaining Force of Wills. Yep. Moving on. I find a deck like Strypo's deck much more interesting than like the traditional 4 to 5 color snow decks. Like you get more decisions there in terms of like your looting, you're returning with punishing fire, your like hand size management, like how to sequence your slightly different situational cards. That's much more interesting to me than like Oko go brrr. Eh. Turn 1 Veteran Explorer, turn 3, turn it into a 3/3, attack with it. So now, like, we probably get to be the bad guy this game. Like, I get to play an Oko on turn 3, elk this Chalice, then play a Veteran Explorer, unlock the rest of my hand, etc., etc., etc. If opponent kept the hand on the strength of Chalice of the Void, it's not enough. Yeah, so like, this card is going to invalidate their deck in all likelihood. Do I want a Cabal Therapy to go to the graveyard this turn? Oh no, I can't because of Trinisphere. I think I want to fetch now to play around even Mind Sensor. Well, that's interesting. Triple polluted delta hand. Although they probably just have to name the Oko here, right? Like, otherwise the Oko comes down and elks this. No, they're going with Delta. So now if I draw a land, I invalidate all of the cards that they've played thus far. Yep, there we go. Black. I think I just want to make a food this turn. Rather than elking one of their things. I don't particularly care about elking any one of their cards yet. Like, it's better to elk one of their things when I can also do something defensive in the same turn. If I just start hitting, they have an Ancient Tomb, they have no creatures, I have an Oko, plus a Spellstutter Sprite that I can also turn into a creature. So like the weird thing is that if I don't elk the Chalice, things get a little problematic. But I think I can just like ignore everything they've done this game because I have Oko. And hit them for 3, then 6, then 9. All is dust. Well, that was unexpected. Opponent's at 5, though, so it's probably not that big of a deal. Like, these Ancient Tombs are going to be shut off very quickly. My opponent needs, like, a Cavern of Souls into, like, a Thought-Knot Seer. So, like, this used to be, like, the Dream Sword opener versus a blue deck, right? Like you play Chalice and Trinisphere, and then like the cantrips do nothing, and now it doesn't matter because you get cards of like Oko power level. Like that's like other than a 1/1, that's the only spell that I cast this game. We didn't actually see that many cards for my opponents. I'm gonna assume that they're like white Eldrazi and board in a couple more removal spells. I probably also board in Ballista and EE, and then leave like Bridge, Coding, Lattice as the Karn targets. Yeah, links are fine as long as they're relevant. Spellstrutter Sprite is a creature, but otherwise it's not overly impressive in this sort of matchup, I don't think. Since I don't know many of the cards that my opponent is playing, I'm going to trim therapies for this game, even though I'll probably go back on them a little bit later. I think I will trim a Ponder and an Astrolabe to just help hedge against a Chalice on one or a Trinisphere. What's RNA? I'm just like totally brain farting on what that is. Oh, so that's like return to Ravnica. Got it. Fine and Andy, I see what you did there. Uh, Sorcerer Spyglass? Because like it hitting my fetch land or Karn here is very bad for me. Swing and a miss. You fucking pull that Spyglass. Okay. I was gonna say, if you pulled the Spyglass off the top, I'm gonna lose it. I think I just Assassin's Trophy the Ancient Tomb here. Maybe not. Like, do they actually have a Plains? It seems like they're colorless to me, in which case, like, putting them down to 1 mana seems great. It's awkward if they have the Plains. Otherwise, it's very good. Alright, they don't have the Plains. They are colorless, and we just saw like a singleton Caracas last game. Yeah, so now we just like hold up counterspell and just like work towards drawing Karn. I'll end of their turn kill Walking Ballista. Just to like clear a path so like Spellstrutter Sprite has text. I'm willing to take one more damage here. Yeah, that just gets to resolve and I'll Abrupt Decay it. That's fine. I'm good with Peak. I mean, like, a good way to put my level of faith in Wizards and Legacy right now is that, like, I have an entry already paid for the 100K next year, and I'm wondering if I should just, like, refund my money. Because I'm not sure that, like, it is worth the EV for me to fly to that event anymore. Like, when I watched how other companies are handling their players, handling their metagames, and then I watched WotC take interactions, it just feels a little sad. Yep. So we haven't drawn a cantrip or a land this game. It's very awkward. I think I have to let that Dynamo resolve and actually deal with the relevant cards. This one is slipping away quick. Yeah, Red Hot. That was one of the places that I had in mind. Like, I don't even play Legends of Runeterra, but like, I'm involved in enough people in the Magic community that also play that game to know that they're doing things right. Or like, I'm playing Monster Train, and their first content patch did so much for balance that it was just like absolutely incredible. Yeah, I kind of think I'm donezo unless I draw another land next turn. Yeah, liquid metal coating is rough here. I think we call that one there. Ah, I should have deluged for 15. You're right. Oof. So now I know what my opponent is playing, so being able to Cabal Therapy their hand again, especially when I'm on the play, is more valuable. Spellstutter Sprite is a body, but it didn't really feel good that game. I think I'm going to junk almost all of those, bring a Ponder back in, bring in, no, I'll keep one. I mean, when I trimmed my collection maybe 2 years ago now, like I just bought a car. Just like straight up sold magic cards, converted into car. Was not hard. I don't love my hand, but I get Brainstorm to fix it. That's gonna happen. That's the punish for what I did. I have to force this. No, I don't. You can have the mana. Screw it. Yeah, I know, Brian. I'm, I was in a lot of the same circles as Brian was in, but I know Bernie much better. Do I brainstorm now? If I brainstorm now, I can play another one drop this turn, but it's probably just better to hold my mana up and be more flexible. In case I have like another manifold key, I can actually counter that. No, Spellstutter Sprite is food. I think I intend on brainstorming during their turn and just looking for an Oko or a Karn. Uh, I'm not really sure how I'm going to beat that Iougin. Finding a removal spell for Manifold Key is a great start. Let's bin the Toxic Deluge. And the Brainstorm? Like have to hit with Ponder next turn. And redraw the Brainstorm if I want. I think I'll keep the Brainstorm. So I'm going to ponder off of fresh cards looking for Abrupt Decay or Assassin's Trophy. Is Oko good enough? Counterspell whatever they play in the next turn cycle, play Oko, Elk, Manifold Key. That maybe gets there? I think Oko's too good to pass here. That's bad for. Oh, interesting. So it feels to me like opponent made a mistake in not using manifold key. Yeah, this is the most interesting Legacy game that I've played in weeks, by far. No! Abrupt Decay or Assassin's Trophy. Pretty hot. Karn, All Is Dust, or a large Eldrazi are probably my best names here. They have no basics. Is it better to block this, or is it better to take the All Is Dust out of their hand? I think it's better to take the All Is Dust out of their hand. Alright, Decay, Trophy, Leovold, Karn, Cantrips. Most of my non-land, non-counterspell draws are very good at this point. Like, even that Toxic Deluge is, like, looking good. Key is spooky. Alright, deck, this one's on you if we lose this one. This one's not on me. Thought Not Seer, X equals... Or sorry, Toxic Deluge, X equals 4, draw a card. Play land. Then concede. Like, those are the sorts of legacy games that I want to be playing all of the time. Like, I know I flooded out there, but like there was real back and forth that game. Like, both players had a chance to let their decks do the things that they do. I got to like make decisions about like what cards I let go, what cards I attack. Like, I'm all about more games of legacy like that. This list is really weird. I like legitimately don't know what to think about it. Like, I don't know that there's enough top end to make the veteran explorer side of the stuff work. Like, I don't know. This it's a mixed bag. Forum plays enough different decks that I don't think I can successfully blind Cabal Therapy on one. I think I'd rather just play a veteran explorer on one. Force of Will. Force pitch back to basics. That's a great draw. Oh, days! The days is so good. It means I can't veteran explorer this turn. I can probably ponder though. I mean, I absolutely want a Karn. I'd probably leave it on top of my library. Yeah, presumably our opponent is on like the mono blue Painter Echo deck. or something very close to it. Days and 2 islands remain. So I don't get to play Karn. Do that next turn. Yeah, I think I'm good with having access to a Force of Will. And just drawing another Karn just in case. Actually, no. Drawing the land is better. We're not going to cast that because of days. If we draw a land, I have Lattice Lock through days next turn. Carpet seems great. Assassin's Trophy Dancers, Planeswalkers is fine. Veil is fine. Leyline is maybe? You just get to counter zeros as well, right? It's or less. Yeah, it's or less. It feels like shutting off Echo is worth bringing in Leyline for. I don't really know how I'm supposed to sideboard for this matchup. Maybe this is a matchup where like I can get by without Astrolabes fixing my mana. And like Veteran Explorer becomes worse. I believe Oko can go. I think I just want the click as a clock, but I could buy Oko going. Like, cut the Okos and the Astrolabes, and then run something close-ish to this. I'm not very good at actually winning the game if I cut the Okos, though. They're kind of like my primary way that I kill people. Maybe I still need those. Actual factual counterspell seems a little slow to me. I don't know, I kind of feel like I need this to close games. Board out the counterspell when I'm on the draw. I lack mana. I think I need to play something a little safer than this. This hand is significantly better. Uh, oh god, Jace. With any blue card, my opponent has turn 2 Jace. They have missed. Very thankful for that. Oh my god, triple Chromox. Well, that that's a thing. Do I cast that? I think I cast that. There's a lot of upside to casting this card. Yikes. Put Force of Will on top of my library and then bury a Swamp 2 down. No, my opponent can keep those boxes. We're gonna hope to convert this Cabal Therapy into something better later. Now that I have 6 mana and I can also hold up Force of Will while doing this, it might be worth taking the 3-for-1 that also lets me look at my opponent's hand. Daze and Force of Will. Yes, those are very good to know about. That means that hard casting my Force of Will is not viable on whatever my opponent does. This is weird. So like I take the Force of Will out of their hand, but then like the Daze still counters my Force in this next turn cycle, but then it's live after that. Do I play this? It's 4 additional mana a turn. One, two, three, four, five, six. I guess 4 additional mana a turn means that like Karn is live in 1 turn per lattice lock. Uh, let's try to close out this game. I'll take Lattice next turn for the win. I can just play a Daze Proof Ballista right now. Double Daze Proof Ballista. Yeah, let's just put this in play. I don't think I need to Cabal Therapy either. Like, I know one of their cards is a Daze. All right. So they're double dazing their own Karn. Oh, I see. They're dazing their Daze. Then they're going to replay the land to go to 0 cards in hand so I can't attack their Karn. So now they Sorcerer Spyglass the Karns. So all I need to do to beat this is find an Abrupt Decay, Ensnaring Bridge, or Oko. Alright, I can't activate that ability. They presumably have a counterspell. Maybe it's better to like try to attack their Karn 3 different times and unlock my Walking Ballista. That's unclear to me. Oh, well. Yeah, it was better to attack first. Who wins if I Mycosynth Lattice this turn? The weird spot. So instead I can junk their bridge this turn. I think I just like build up a couple of elks and then plan on killing them in one turn. Oh yeah, or Aurum plays a crap ton of magic. That was a good Vendilion click. It's a pretty good true name Nemesis, though, to be fair. Now, do I win with lattice? So I can go elk the bridge, attack for 4. I probably just elk the bridge, kill my opponent's Karn. That turns on my walking ballista. And then I'm okay from there. Yeah, I think that's going to work out. You can also like Mystic Sanctuary and Abrupt Decay to the top of my deck if that's something that matters. I don't know that anything matters now. Why did I kill that Karn? This is still on that. I guess it threatens my opponent in a different way. It's probably fine. Alright, I use Karn so I can kill Ballista. Right. Sorry, this game's very complicated. Okay, yeah, and then the Ballista Laser plus my damage kills them in the air that turn. That was a surprisingly complicated game. Alright, I'm gonna try to run and grab water before. No, I'm not. The fairies don't seem great. I largely agree with that. The fairies plus counterspell seems a little awkward. I mean, the whole list is admittedly a little bit awkward. Like, we have an odd assortment of cards. A very odd assortment of cards. Should have fetched with Misty on turn 1, so I gotta have all 3 basic lands if that was something that was relevant. What am I doing on turn 2? I don't know without knowing what my opponent is on. Scarab God. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Apollo is on my t-shirt. Greek god of archery, music, prophecy, and the sun, amongst other things. The text that's slightly off screen for you all is Nihil Nimis in Latin and Maiden Agon in Greek, which means nothing in excess. Helios is also the god of the sun. Everybody's the god of the sun. Apollo's role as a god is sort of interesting in that he. Is it better to play Veterix? No, I can't get counterspells. Sorry, in going back to Apollo, he's a god that plays a lot of different roles. A lot of times when you like stereotypically think of the Greek gods, you think of them as having like one narrowly defined role, and Apollo's roles are just like very, very broad. All right, so I'm gonna grab water while my opponent maybe combos off. Okay, well I didn't die, but my opponent got a Karn. That should be pretty good. You have LED to keep going this turn? Like LED, crack, play something else off the top of the library, go, 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 go. Yep. Please fizzle so that I can kill this Karn. Nice! I think the Turbo Forge decks are really cool. I mean, I'm largely in agreement with you there. I've had some fun playing them. I don't I don't think they're the best right now. Like they've definitely been better at other times in Legacy. Like these sorts of decks were very good with Zerta around. Um, I don't think people are building all the decks like this properly. I feel like a lot of the time, like I feel like a lot of times the Zerta deck when it didn't combo off was like just a totally fine deck. and just playing like things like Thought Not Seers and Karns and other Karns quickly and ahead of schedule is like a totally viable strategy. So I don't want to put the work into it myself, but I think there are better like voltaic key Grim Monolith shells than what currently exist in Legacy. That's another one. So I had to kill this so I didn't get like lattice locked. But like leaving Mystic Forge unchecked does stuff like this. You don't have like an ensnaring bridge or anything yet. Yeah, we're not done here. Like I can attack Karn, they lose their walking ballista this turn, they kill my veteran explorer. Maybe we are done if they also have ensnaring bridge in their sideboard. Eh, eh. Okay, they do have the bridge. And they have starting mana for Voltaic keys, so I don't get to burn them out via Ancient Tomb. Okay. Oh, I don't really get to board much, do I? We're not so much with cards for fair matchups. Do I just board in the EE and the Ballista just like as cards to bring in? I probably do that. Because like my Spellstar sprites, maybe they're okay. Mystic Forge isn't technically card draw, you're just playing the cards off the top of your library. We'll junk that. I'll trim an Astrolabe, and I think I'll trim a Therapy. No, I'll trim a Veteran Explorer. My opponent doesn't have that many cards that actually make their hands keepable, so like there's a decent chance if you name something like a Karn or a Mystic Forge, like whichever one of those you're going to have a harder time beating, that you actually just like hit. I'm just happy that they like actually like made a small nod to the fact that like they are aware that the community hates current legacy as a whole. I'm like glad we got something in that article because like Legends of Runeterra, for example, is doing a really good job about like watch lists and like things that like the community should be aware of. And this is like the first time in a while we've gotten something like that out of Wizards. This hand is great. We named the wrong one. They have Karn instead. They might only play three forges, in which case it was correct to name Karn. I will brainstorm my opponent's end of turn looking for a land to just like close out this game. Did not hit the land. That's awkward. I guess I can play Veteran Explorer and then shuffle one of these cards away. Wall Therapy, target you, sacrifice Veteran Explorer, use this ability, yes. I need a green this turn, and beyond that I probably need more blue. Two Crystal Vein and Inventor's Fair versus one Elky Boy. Next turn I get to play Karn and shut off their artifact mana. They need a strong one off the top. That gives them Metalcraft for Inventor's Fair, so like that's something. That's also the third artifact to allow them to do searching here. This is an artifact. It is an artifact. Arn minus get astrolabe. Play astrolabe, elk astrolabe. No, it's probably loose. Maybe I brainstorm this turn first. Alright, so I'll put back land, land, play this, fetch like a trop or something. Put a brainstorm on top so I have guaranteed something to go with Force of Will. Actually, what's the text on this? 3 or more other islands, so no, not yet. No, if I elk one of their things, they're just going to like search in response, right? I don't think I'm going to change anything about how I sideboarded. Yeah, like I don't really want to give them a 3/3, right? Like, if my Karn resolved, I might have just like gotten Tormod's Crypt, turned Tormod's Crypt into an Elk, just so like I can attack and close the game sooner, and so that it makes it harder for them to spin the game around with like a Karn of their own. So I don't think I'm elking any of their stuff that turn. Their stuff's not that valuable. Like, I put 6 power on the board. They can't activate a Mystic Forge if that's what they search out. They take 2 in order to put the Mystic Forge into play. They're facing down 6 more. And then I can elk it if it's an actual problem. Beautiful mana base. I think we ship this one. Probably not playable now. So I think I'm keeping the 6-card hand, binning Therapy, and keeping Brainstorm plus Force of Will. My opponent has gone to 6. They might only have 1 business card in their hand. And that's kind of what I need to hope for. Beautiful. Fine and Andy, we're not playing another Witch's Cauldron deck on stream. It's not happening. The last one was so bad. It was so bad. Why keep Caracas? Caracas taps for 1 colorless mana, effectively, that casts Oko on turn 3. That's why we keep Caracas. Like last game, we just spiraled out of control with Planeswalkers, and we would like to repeat that. I don't know, Brian. This deck is clunky, and I don't know that I get the luxury to pass on the third land in the opening hand. Like, a bunch of my cards are awkward in terms of their mana curve. So, like, we have these random Spellstrutter sprites and, like, actual factual counterspell and a number of things of that ilk. Well, okay, we found another Oko and a Karn. I don't have any interaction this turn, but I can ED for one and kill multiple keys on my next turn if that's not if Oko isn't good enough. Assuming my opponent drew a couple of threats, I'm in pretty big trouble here, I think. Yeah, that's definitely good. My opponent still does have 5 cards in hand. LED, you gonna echo again? Yep. Okay. If we could have drawn these hands in like reverse order, that would have been really cool. Play a 1/1 or brainstorm. One direct answer to Karn. I think I'm flashing in Sprite. Like I have one Assassin's Trophy. We're playing this. Need to attack this Karn. There's the Assassin's Trophy. That's very good. So I'll Assassin's Trophy the Karn this turn. Then redraw Counterspell next turn. Bury Sprite. Or bury this Cabal Therapy. No, I'd probably bury this Sprite. So now, how many business spells do you have remaining? You have a decent amount of mana. This Ancient Tomb probably doesn't do much more damage to my opponent this game. My Sprite probably only attacks once more and then becomes Cabal Therapy food. Uh, uh, that's awkward. So I have a counter spell on top of my library. I might need to. Hmm. So opponent still has 4 mana, so they can still play a Mystic Forge or a Karn if I counter this, and those will be very difficult for me to beat. I think I need to let this go and then hope that they don't have 2 different threats in their hand this turn. Oh, did I shuffle away the counterspell? Demosian, it's easiest to just look at the deck list on the Cardboard Live extension. It is not a traditional build. The donation was pretty weird. No worries, friend. And then if they have another threat after this, like, so be it. Since they did have another threat, like if we countered the Paradox Engine, the Karn would have resolved. So like I'm good with how I played this. Spellstrutter Sprite counters spells and sacks to Cabal Therapy. That's all we've got going there, Tybalt. It's not anything fancier than just that. Inventor's Fair becomes a tutor for a Mystic Forge. Yeah. Think we're done? Am I dead a high enough majority of the time that I just concede here? There's nothing that kills me yet. They're at 11 life. The issue is that Paradox Engine untaps the Mystic Forge, so they get 10 rerolls for the top card of their library. So, probably dead. So I think at the point where you have 40 plus mana in this deck, you don't need to do the untaps every cycle. IMO. Well, he already has Lethal Ballista, right? Like 40-ish mana does that. Nice weather outside today. Yep. Looks like blinds again. Usually blinds most of the time that I'm streaming. A weird coincidence. I mean, I just always keep the blinds closed in this room. I don't know which. I haven't given the sun's direction any thought. But just like as a whole, I tend to keep the blinds closed in my house. One has lost 3 life in about 3 minutes. So dinner tonight. Dinner tonight is tapas. I think we're doing like buffalo chicken bites. We have some cheese curds. We have some potato skins. Just gonna be an assortment of random snacky things turned into a meal. That's the current plan. Do you follow any sports, Phil? No, but every once in a while I get drunk and watch some curling, and that's a lot of fun. That sport, like, cracks me up. Like this weird combination of tactical gameplay plus funny noises of people sweeping. I'm not convinced opponent has any win conditions in their deck at this point. Like, how many win conditions are in Exile? None? None? Alright, they found a win condition. Yeah, it is definitely weird to like be playing a Nick Fit deck and not have anything that costs greater than CMC4, or like also not have access to deeds. Well, they had multiple defense grids in play, which is why I was like F6'd, even though like I could redraw into counterspells. I need those 50 play points, man. Like, I'm literally out of play points. That's how badly these donation leagues are going. This is rough. Aurum is now on a different deck. I wonder if I'm supposed to like sandbag this Cabal Therapy the entire game until he puts Yorion in hand. Take a land here, I think. I think I'll just ponder again. Look for a turn 3 Haymaker card of some nature. Any order? Couple, yes. Multiple therapies. Feels like at least one of those is going to become brainstorm food. I think I'll cast one, try to spell strut or something in the next turn cycle, and then like sack this to Cabal Therapy to get another card. Oh, we hit the Oko. I can also just like take a Dak Faden here by casting the other Cabal Therapy. That seems fine. Let's not really mess around with that. All right, so we're working with perfect information as of right now. The Yorion is in hand. It'd be a shame if someone Cabal Therapied that. Yeah. Ooh, alright, so Swords to Plowshares, Decay, Force of Will, Island, No Yorion, Second Decay. Hold on, I crossed out one too many. No, I didn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Cool. Mm, force, pitch a Baleful Strix. We'll force back, pitch a Brainstorm. This will resolve in this turn cycle. I think I'm just fine with hitting with an Astrolabe. Hmm. That's going to be a little annoying. I guess I'm just like blowing up my opponent's lands from here. One, two, three, four, five, six. I think I'm gonna brainstorm, look for a veteran explorer to Cabal Therapy some stuff out of their hands, and then crypt. Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, we'll crypt and resolve Oko. Um, I need to Mystic Sanctuary Cabal Therapy back to the top of my deck. Actually, before I do that, because my opponent has 2 decays. Or alternatively, just find a. I don't. Mystic Sanctuary doesn't work right now. I'll draw the brainstorm that's on top of my library. Brainstorm. And then sculpt my plan from there. I mean, that's pretty good. Spies, think about timing. Right, so like I cast an Oko, activate it, and then they abrupt decay in response. Oh, gross. Um, Elk this turn? What am I doing with Karn? Just Karn plus? Oh yeah, and like my opponent didn't have a brainstorm to try to fix that either. Okay, I might have misplayed then. I think carpet's still good. I think this is good. Deluge for clearing elks and small creatures is interesting. Maybe okay. I'm gonna think about that. Veteran Explorer against the 80 card Yorion deck is kind of awkward, but like the Cabal therapies are pretty hot. I think I'm supposed to go off of the Veteran Explorer Cabal therapy plan a bit. Like giving my opponent the bonus lands when they're the Yorion deck feels very bad. I can do that and keep the Deluge, because deluging for X equals 1 probably kills a decent amount of my opponent's threats. This only leaves me with 6 creatures if I do this. Maybe it's fine. It's not like Veteran Explorer is actually a win condition in this deck anyway. A couple redraws here. The Mystic Sanctuaries are super loose in this deck, IMO. Like the fact that we have so many different basic lands and like we want to have them a bunch of games because of like Astrolabe means that it's actually kind of hard to get to 3 mana. Or sorry, 3 islands before you play a Mystic Sanctuary. It's come up as being slightly awkward a couple of times. Seems great to have access to carpet flowers. I mean, if that's not hitting an Oko, I think I'm okay with that. Let's say no to this and ponder in the first main phase. Get a better feel for what kind of mana I want. think we'll pass on that. We're looking for business cards. Matt, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. All starter sprite sure doesn't counter that. We'll deluge that away. Right, classic Carpet of Flowers Leovold interaction. Brainstorm into Force of Will. Seems pretty important. Oh, Leovold. That doesn't work. Yep. Feels like I'm effectively dead now. I'm not actually dead. Like, I can Assassin's Trophy kill this Leovold and do some other stuff, but, like, I should have maybe Assassin's Trophy Leovold in my upkeep. No, my opponent hasn't drawn a card yet this turn, so they'll still get a card. Oh, from Carpet. Sure, right. Yeah, my opponent missed out on a card there. I think it's really easy to do something like that. I think my opponent just like puts Yorion into hand this turn, and then I die next turn. Or like repeat that for any turn for the rest of the game. Like Yorion is a draw 5 right now. And put oh no, Deluge got exiled due to Force of Negation. Rough. Alright, Brainstorm it is. Yikes. I need something big. Karn? What does Karn do? Play Karn, get Bridge, hope Bridge resolves, hide behind it. That's the plan, which is really awkward with the counterspell that's in my hand. I think I do that. It's awkward, but it's fine. Then we're going to play that. We'll target this and then not actually use it. Yeah, I'm on the wrong side of the equation here. Everything kind of gets thrown out the window if my opponent doesn't put the Yorion into hand. Okay, they did put the Yorion into hand. I'll absolutely trade. Oh god, is the last card Veil of Summer? Or Brainstorm? I have to counter it if that's the case. Yeah. So Ensnaring Bridge is the current plan. I think play Karn just plus Karn this turn. It puts Karn to 6 loyalty. Karn gets attacked down to 4. Minus is down to 2 when I have Bridge. Seems good. Alternatively, I can just put the Bridge in my hand this turn, which may be safer. Let's do that. God damn it. Yeah, that was a good one. Damn, this one was winnable. I just mucked it up there. Yeah, there's about a 5 second delay between like whatever I say, like reaching you all. So I'm also trying to F6 the greatest proportion of these games that I can here. I mean, there's another Karn. It's very good. I'm just gonna plus and keep the loyalty high on this, and then hope to lattice win next turn. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Yeah, my Karn can continue to plus, so I'm okay. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. This is a hold priority sort of situation. Cast this, target that. Are we serious right now? I really have to do this for every single mana? Alright, we fought long and hard for 50 play points there. Um, Deck does not feel great. There's a lot of tension in the deck building, like cards like Oko, Leovold, Karn make you want to tap out. Cards like Spellstrutter Sprite and Counterspell and Force Negation and Click make you want to hold mana open. The deck doesn't close games well because a lot of times these 8 creatures are just getting sacrificed to Cabal Therapy. So I think I won more games to concessions than to actually killing opponents. You also don't really sideboard all that well because like you have a Karn package and ley lines, and you're also trying to play this like weird control deck sort of thing most of the time. So I didn't love this deck, but the league went pretty well. You would cut 20 to 25 cards from the main deck. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Like, I think we're a worse version of the Snow deck, and I think we're also a worse version of the Nick Fit deck. Like, I think it's very hard to play these like reactive timed spells like Counterspell and Spell Strutter Sprite when you're also like tapping out and trying to do Veteran Explorer stuff. I also don't know that we actually had enough payoff for the mana, but the deck list was interesting.